Hello guys, Tops here. Today I want to talk to you on which opponents suffer from Fearsome the most. Against what opponents is Fearsome good? Against what opponent is Fearsome not good? And I highly recommend you read the guide from Turtle on the perks of Fearsome. It explains very well to you. Also, I made a video about how Fearsome works in the game. Today I want to talk to you about which opponents Fearsome is good against, which opponent Fearsome is not good against, and all the in between. And of course, all of that is my opinion, my experience. I had a couple Fearsome runs, and if Fearsome works, it's a strong debuff. But some enemies are completely immune to Fearsome. Okay, so these are the enemies in Battle Brass. Oh, just stay. Damn it. Okay. So something to note. Right away, we're gonna ignore champions. Ancient, we have 6 factions in Battle Bros, right? We have Ancient Undead, Beasts, Goblins, Humans, Orcs, Undead Zombies. Undead Zombies, Ancient Undead are completely immune to Fearsome because they don't have Moral, right? Okay, so we have that. So Fearsome does nothing to them. Beasts, too long did not read. Fearsome is really strong versus a lot of small entities and is generally bad versus small number of opponents that are big and strong, right? So in the beast category, I think we can just check lindworms, for instance. Lindworms have like 180 resolve. So basically, even with Fearsome, they have Fearsome themselves, by the way. So even with Fearsome, you don't drop their moral below the 5% threshold, right? So there is a threshold in Battle Brass. You always have a 5% chance of succeeding or losing a moral check, right? And so if you don't drop the resolve of an opponent under 95, it doesn't matter, basically. Fearsome does nothing because even with 180 resolve, the maximum penalty you can apply is -20. You will never get a Lindworm to less than 95 resolve effectively, so Fearsome will not matter here. The Fearsome debuff, that is. So, but on something like hyenas or direwolves, right? They have relatively low resolve. They have only 50 resolve, so a Fearsome debuff with like -10 resolve to them would increase the likelihood of checking them by like 20%, if I'm right. So their moral drops from like 50 to 40 for the check. So it's effectively -10 resolve, and 10 resolve or 50 resolve is 20%, right? So really good, really good versus the small beasts that come in big numbers. Really bad versus the big beasts because they're either completely immune or they are technically immune because their resolve is way too high. So on beasts, it's 50-50, right? I think Ifrits are also one of these. Yeah, I think Ifrits don't have morale as well, if I see that. Alps have 100 resolve, so it's not that good versus Alps. Direwolves have low resolve. Frenzy Direwolf have relatively high resolve. Hexen, 160 resolve, so versus Hexen. It's not that great. Frenzied Hyena have 70 resolve, so relatively high, but still they come in big, large entities. And here you can see Ifrits don't have resolve, so it doesn't even work versus them. Does nothing versus them. Nachtseras have 50 resolve and 80 resolve for the small ones, 110 for the big ones. So for the big ones, I don't think, or it's unlikely that you moral check them, even with Fearsome. But if you apply the max penalty, theoretically, you can Fearsome them. Small ones, relatively likely to Fearsome them with the normal Fearsome. But like the tier 2s are already fairly resilient with like 80 resolve. The big ones, 110, are almost immune to Fearsome, almost to a certain degree, right? And they're naked, so you always will do at least 1 hit point damage to them as well. Schwarz, 200 resolve. Sapling, 150 resolve. technically immune to Fearsome. Serpents have 100 resolve, so Serpents don't care too much about Fearsome. Unholds 130 resolve. I think they're technically immune to these ones. 150. They should be technically be immune to Fearsome. As you can see, sorry for that, guys. As you can see, EG Rock has. I think EG Rock doesn't have resolve, so you can't Fearsome check him. The Kraken, of course, can't be Fearsome checked. So a good amount of beasts, actually, if I look into this, like almost all of the beasts, except for maybe the smaller ones, are more or less immune to Fearsome or don't really care too much. So the only beasts that are kind of susceptible to Fearsome are Nachtseras because of their high numbers, hyenas and direwolves. The rest is more or less immune to Fearsome. So as you can see, like Fearsome doesn't do much versus beasts, ancient undead, undeads. Let's check out goblins. Alright, we don't have to look into goblins too much because goblins have very weak morale. They're already suffering from morale issues, so they have relatively low resolve and low hit points. So Fearsome versus goblins, pretty strong. If you can see that, like they have very low resolves, and yeah, they gonna break and flee very fast if you apply Fearsome. Even without Fearsome, they break and chain rot. They come in large numbers, and the bigger the number, the stronger failing moral checks are, because it, like a failing moral check will proc multiple other moral checks. And if you fight opponents that come in large numbers but are individually weak, Fearsome tends to be strong. So versus goblins, really good. It's kind of, you can maybe say a goblin counter. Alright, next one, let's take the next one, orcs. Fearsome tends to be good. Orcs have relatively, let's say, mid-resolve or high resolve even. Orc Berserkers, Orc Warriors have 75, Warlord has 90. So that's decent, right? That is pretty decent resolve actually. The thing is, as you watched my video, how Fearsome works, orcs have high hit points, and especially Zerkers and Young don't have much armor. So there's a high chance that you hit them, because a lot of the times they also have lower defense. And the more hit points an opponent drops, or the lower hit points he has, the more likely he is to fail a moral check. So that 75 resolve, if the Orc Warrior goes down to 50 hit points, like he has a higher likelihood of failing a moral check. So versus Orcs, I would say it's good versus Orc Youngs. It's okay versus Zerkers because you hit them. But as you can see, they have 90 resolve. So Fearsome, even with the max penalty of -20, doesn't do that much. But if you can drop a Berserker, it's kind of nice, right? Versus Orc Warriors, in my opinion, the problem is doing even 1 hit point damage to like 400 armor is a problem. They can come with 400 body and head armor. Warlords with 500 body and head armor with 90 resolve. So Fearsome is technically can be strong versus orcs, but sometimes it doesn't work. Like sometimes a warrior will not drop morale until he's basically dead. Same with a warlord or a Zerker. That can happen. It's still gambly a little bit. But overall, orcs come in large entities, and especially the young ones have high hit points and relatively low resolve. So if you apply debuffs to them, they will drop fast. The Zerkers and the warriors depends. They have higher resolves, and the warriors have high armor, so it is less likely that Fearsome helps you a lot there. Although it might help you. But I have sometimes encountered, and I fought a lot of orc fights with Fearsome, that sometimes orc warriors and orc warlords and berserkers are just not dropping until they're basically dead. So the Fearsome did nothing there. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So versus orcs, still pretty good overall, I would say. Now we are coming to the humans. That's the biggest faction. But let's go through them. As you can see, like, we don't have to talk about thugs. They have very low resolves. If you get fearsome, you're gonna destroy thugs and poachers, of course. Raiders have kind of mid resolve, 55, marksman 50, brigand leader 70. So overall not too high. So fearsome pretty good versus raiders. They come in large entities and they don't have a lot of armor, so you are very likely to proc moral checks versus them. And if you apply a penalty, let's say minus 20 to 55 resolve, it's very likely that they're gonna fail a moral check, and then you have a cascading moral check because a failed moral check will trigger other moral checks around the brigand raider. So versus brigand raider, pretty good fearsome. Or fearsome is pretty good. All right, let's check out the cutthroats. Nomad cutthroats, the nomads 45 resolve, not too high. Outlaw 60 resolve, it's already higher. Slinger 45, Archer 55, Nomad leader 75. And then of course the Executioner, Blade Dancer, Desert Stalker 90, 90 and 70 resolve. So the stronger opponents have higher resolve values, so it is significantly less likely to get them dropped in moral. But nomads come in large numbers, and especially the lower nomads have low enough resolve that it is likely that you will drop your opponent's moral, like the nomads in low moral. If you apply a minus 20 debuff to 60 resolve, that's 33% more likely to drop a fearsome check on a nomad outlaw. And nomads are nasty to kill, so fearsome is pretty decent versus them, especially in combination with AoE attacks. And again, they come in larger numbers, especially the big nomad camps, late game, they have like 20, 30 nomads inside them. And a little bit higher resolve than the brigands, but not too much. So these ones, relative susceptible to fearsome. Fearsome, I would say, overall pretty good versus nomads and brigands. All right, the next ones, barbarians. As you can see, even the thralls have 70 resolve, reavers 80, chosen 90. Barbarian King 110, Madman has, Madman doesn't even have resolve, so he is immune to fearsome. Drummer has 80, 90 for the Beastmaster. So fearsome versus barbarians. Again, barbarians come in large numbers and they have Unholds. So as we already discussed, Unholds are technically immune to fearsome. And even the thralls have 70 resolve. So that's why barbarians are so strong. They come in large numbers, but they don't drop in resolve. So fearsome versus barbarians is, in my opinion, doesn't do much. Doesn't do too much. If you apply penalties to like 90, 80, and 70 resolve, it's unlikely that you chain route barbarians. In my experience, barbarians are very good suited versus morale checks because they have high moral themselves. Also the Chosens are one of the strongest enemies. Oh fuck. But like, so it has high impact. If like a Chosen drops 10% in moral and he loses like 10% melee skill, that's high impact. But again, a lot of the times it's unlikely, right? And a lot of the times, because of the high morale of Chosen and stuff, you will kill the Chosen before he drops in moral. And maybe at the very end, where you basically want to fight, opponents might start breaking and flee, but sometimes even that doesn't happen. So like, I would say fearsome versus barbarians doesn't do much. So you could argue that other damage perks or survivability perks would probably do roughly the same as fearsome, because fearsome, in my opinion, does not do much versus the whole barbarian faction. Madman is immune, and these guys, Drummer and Beastmasters, are rarely attacked anyways. All right, city-state forces. Indebted, low morale, of course. Conscripts have 70 resolve, Gunners 70, 70 all. Officers 80, 90 the Gladiator. So as you can see, the conscripts have relatively high morale. So I think they also have Nimble, right? They have Nimble. So as we discussed in the video where I explained Fearsome, Fearsome is decent versus Nimble opponents, because Nimble opponents you get damage reduction, so it's harder to get 15 hit points damage through, but overall they have high resolve. But again, if you apply Fearsome checks, they come in big numbers. So I would say Fearsome versus Conscript army is decent. And I would say conscripts are probably, like, the big conscript armies are probably the toughest enemies in the game. Basically, I would say. Really, really hard to fight those guys. They have relative high resolve, but if you get them to drop resolve, pretty nice. Counters their Nimble a little bit. Yeah, officers, gladiators, really high resolve. Assassins, 85 resolve. All right. Okay, next one, Noble House armies. So the good old Noble House armies. They have, the Footman has 60 resolve, Billman 60, Arbalester 60, Standard Bearer 80, 90 for a Knight, 80 for a Sergeant. Zweihander has 70, but they have Lone Wolf. Don't let them separate from their friends. And their militia forces, yeah, whatever. I think militia forces might be. We're gonna treat them later. But as you can see, I would say they have above average resolve with 60 plus. And the thing is, they have standard bearers, so they can rally the troops, which means the moral checks that you applied with Fearsome can be rallied away. So unless you kill the bannerman, Fearsome doesn't do much because they can rally the troops. By the way, Orc warlords can rally their own guys as well. So sometimes versus Orcs, doesn't do that much because of the rally mechanic. I forgot that when I was talking about Orcs. So Noble House forces, because of the bannerman and the relatively high resolve that they have, they are relatively resistant to Fearsome, but they come in large numbers and you can chain lord them. But you can also do that without Fearsome. So I would say versus Noble House armies, is not that great. I mean, next one, Militia. I probably think you don't fight Militia, but they basically have the Brigand resolve, I would say, like 40, 50, 70, pretty low. Militiamen 40. Donkeys don't have resolve. Caravan hands 40 and 60 resolve. Peasants 35 resolve. Yeah, so like all these encounters that you find on the streets, low resolve. So Fearsome would be pretty good with them, but like they come in small numbers and they are very weak opponents, so who cares, right? And most of the time you don't fight them anyways, because you are your friends, right? You have to protect the peasants and the caravans, unless you are a raider. All right, last one, mercenary. I think it's the last one, right? Mercenary companies. Lower mercenaries 55, higher mercenaries 70 resolve, 70 for the marksman, 90 for the hedge knight, 90 swordmaster, master archer 70. And then we have event spawned humans. Yeah, we can ignore the event spawned humans. Yeah, so mercenary have above average resolve. And they have stuff like Battleforge. So the Fearsome helps versus Battleforge as well, because if you fight higher armor opponents, it is less likely that you proc 15 hit point damage, but you might proc like less than that. So higher likelihood of having, of being able to apply Fearsome checks. But as you can see, they have, I would say, overall above average resolve, and they don't come in too big numbers. So they're a little bit more elite. Sometimes they come with the normal armies and can be rallied in the noble fights. But yeah, I would say Fearsome versus them is probably all right. It's a nimble counters Battleforge to a certain degree. No, it's actually not true. Actually, Battleforge counters Fearsome, but like it can help you to get the damage through. That's what I want to say. And yeah, 90 for the elite opponents, of course. All right, I think that's all the enemies. Let's summon up what Fearsome is good and very weak against. Ancient Undead and Undead Zombies, so the Necromancers and stuff, they are immune to Fearsome by default. Most of the beasts are technically not immune to Fearsome, but in reality they are because they have too much resolve. Goblins, really, really weak to Fearsome because they already suffer from moral issues, and I think they are probably the weakest to Fearsome because, yeah, they all have low resolve and Fearsome destroys them. Humans, versus Brigands, it's good. Versus Nomads, it's good. Versus Barbarians, not so much. Versus City-States is okay. Is good, right? Versus Noble House forces is meh, because they can rally. I wouldn't say maybe not too... doesn't have too much of an impact. Versus Militia forces, trading caravans, peasants, it's good, but who cares? Versus Mercenaries is okay, might help you to kill them. They're dangerous opponents. And versus Cell Swords as well. Event Spot, Humans, and Hounds, we're just gonna ignore that. Okay, versus Orcs. So versus Youngs and Warriors, Orc Berserkers and Warriors have relatively high resolve, so has the Warlord, and the Warlord can rally with the Battle Cry. Actually, let's look at the Battle Cry. So he can rally the Orcs that drop to Fleeing or drop to Wavering and can rally them back, just like your Bannerman can do. So Warcry, right? He has the Warcry ability. Yeah, boosts the morale and reduces accumulated fatigue. So yeah, Warlord counters Fearsome. Whereas Orc-Young, Fearsome pretty good, relatively low resolve, high HP, gonna hit them a lot. Whereas Orc Berserkers, 90 resolve is high, really high, same like Chosen's. So might work, might not work. Orc Warriors have a little bit lower resolve, but they have much more armor. Like they come with up to 400 body and head armor. So even most weapons won't do even one, or a lot of weapons don't do even one hit point damage through 400 armor. So can help killing them, but a lot of the times it does not help killing them that much, and they can get rallied by the Orc Warlord. So as soon as an Orc Warlord and a lot of Orc Warriors and Berserkers are in the mix, Fearsome tends to be not that effectful versus Orcs, but very good versus the Young. So it can help you to fight them, but it does not have to be, a lot of the times it doesn't do much, sadly. Alright, I think this is all enemies, and that's it, guys. By the way, this is the Battle Brothers wiki, so you can just Google that, Battle Brothers wiki, and you find all the stats about Battle Brothers. And this is Turtle's Fearsome guide. I will try to link that down in the comment section. Guys, I stream daily, and I have a Discord. You can join that. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.